Hello there, Grumpy Old Fart here. I'm doing an advanced Dungeons and Dragons story, not really a story, more or less a kind of like an advice thing for newer dungeon masters. I see online with all this pandemic and people stuck at their houses all the time, a lot of people have started running Dungeons and Dragons campaigns, and a lot of them have started for the very first time. They're new dungeon masters, and that's a good thing. We need all those we can get. Amen. God bless you. You know, great to have you aboard. I've been playing a long time. I've been running Advanced Dungeons and Dragons for over 40 years. I started in 79, 80, whatever, and I've been running it ever since. I still run it. My son runs it. My wife runs games. Yeah, we're a gaming family. So this is for all the newer dungeon masters out there. If you're going to run Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, and I do recommend running this one as opposed to the others. The other ones have not maybe some nicer artwork and they're a little flashier, but they also rule and regulate you to death. You can't. I mean, if you get a player in your game that knows the rules better than you do, you are screwed, because they're gonna argue every point. Okay, with Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, there's a lot fewer rules. It also allows you to create the world you want, because you can make house rules, and house rules are wonderful because you can, create the world you want. And Advanced Dungeons and Dragons has a much better flavor, in my opinion. Now, all that aside, this is some advice for the newer dungeon masters. No matter what kind of campaign you run as a dungeon master, you need to do some work on the governmental structure. And I recommend reading page 90 of the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons Dungeon Master's Guide, especially the part titled Duties, Excises, Fees, Tariffs, Taxes, Tithes, and Tolls. That's a mouthful, but it's there. It's the title of it, and then you got the paragraph underneath. A lot of good information in there. Okay, however, most of these won't apply to your player characters, unless they start a business or something. Okay. However, duties apply to goods being brought to market from outside the city or the area where you're going into. If your group brings in several pack animals or a wagon with excess goods, probably from the last dungeon crawl they were in or whatever, the last adventure they were on, the last quest that they completed, they're going to bring all these excess goods in. They found a bunch of stuff they can't use, so they're going to pack it into town and sell it, which is, it happens a lot. They can be considered merchants, and the duties at the gate would apply. And a duty is essentially you're bringing goods in. Let's figure the value, and we either get to take a percentage, or we're gonna cost X amount per animal, per wagon, whatever the system you want to use. The duties would apply, and they do this because they want people to buy local, because it keeps the locals in business. If you have a local guy who's making bread, and somebody else is importing bread, and for whatever reason they can do it cheaper, then the foreign bread is going to, people are going to eat up the foreign bread. Why? Because it's cheaper. So the idea there, it's twofold. One, you're getting excess taxes for the government, because no matter what government you got to have money to run it, and this is how they do it: taxes, tolls, duties, fees, whatever. And the other thing is, they want to make it more expensive for the foreign goods to come in. Okay, that keeps the locals in business. It's got a multiple function there. Now, other things you want to consider when you're running this game with your players is dues are paid to the local guilds. You got your Thieves Guild, the Mercenary Guild, the Mages Guild, whatever. These also could be considered excises. Okay, that fits into this paragraph. I talk about the Thieves Guild and like that in some other videos. A Thieves Guild it's a double-edged sword. They have a lot of useful abilities. The Thieves Guild, they help you move stolen goods out. They can get you jobs, that kind of thing. The bad part is you also have to pay dues, and you kind of have to do what they say. So, there's trade-offs. Same with all these, basically. But anyway, as far as your players are concerned, If they're paying dues to a guild, those are considered excises. Tolls and fees to enter gates and cross bridges, or to use certain roads, are also justified. If you got 4 players and they're riding their horses going to cross a bridge, guards show up. Hey, it's going to cost you each a silver piece to get across the bridge. Why? Well, we've got to maintain the roads, got to pay for the building of the bridge or whatever. Basically, the local lord is milking the system to get him a little extra cash, and that happens. It happens a lot. It happens in our world. Toll bridges, toll roads, that kind of thing. Tithes are generally given to religious institutions in exchange for healing. For example, if you got a guy who's hurt real bad and you take him to the temple to heal, the clerics probably want a nice tithe for that. They're not going to charge you for healing, but they'll ask for a tithe. Over the years, now, one of the things that you really got to be careful with when you're doing this as a dungeon master, you don't want to overdo it, okay? Because it is possible to seriously overdo this. I have seen dungeon masters really go overboard with these things, and I got an example here from years ago. I once paid 10 gold pieces to enter a city gate. And it was just for me. Okay, not the rest of the party, just for me. My horse cost another 25 gold pieces. I had a great sword on my back, which cost me another 50 gold pieces because they were highly regulated. Forged weapons were very well regulated. My longbow that I had on me also cost another 30 gold because it was considered a war implement as opposed to a hunting implement. And of course, they charged me a gold piece per arrow, which I had 24 arrows on me. 24 arrows. I also was wearing scale mail, which cost another 100 gold pieces. I had a dagger, which cost another 5 gold pieces. You could have a knife, and that's legal, but a dagger is an implement of war. Huge difference. And for those of you who don't know the difference, a knife can skin an animal pretty effectively, where you can keep the hide. For example, if you're skinning a bear, for example, you can use the hide for something else later. With a knife, with a dagger makes really poor work of skinning an animal. You probably won't be able to use the hide for anything after that. Why? Because it's not designed for it. It's designed as an implement of war. Huge difference. Okay, they're both technically knives, but they have different functions. So a knife was legal, but a dagger wasn't. Unless I was part of the military, So, all this added up to enter the city gate, I had to pay a whopping 244 gold pieces. Generally speaking, your average peasant earns about a silver piece a day after taxes. So to pass through the gate, I had to fork over more than 13 1/3 years of pay. Over 13 years of pay for your average peasant. And that was just insane. Imagine what actual merchants had to endure. They're bringing a wagon load of stuff in. You see what I'm saying? And God forbid he was a foreign weaponsmith or armorer, because then all that adds up. I can understand restricting certain items, and the rulers need to generate revenue, but these rates would drive foreign businesses away. Foreign merchants wouldn't even come to the city if they had to do that. This is why smugglers thrive. If it's going to cost you 100 gold pieces to get a specific item into the city, if you sneak it in, you avoid that. That's smuggling right there. You're avoiding customs. Okay. And this is why smugglers thrive. If the dungeon master would only change the gold pieces in the above scenario to silver pieces, the toll would be much better received. 244 silver pieces equals basically 12 gold and 4 silver. There's revenue, and then there's obviously killing business. So when you're running a game, these things are normal. They happen in especially in medieval situations where you get taxed every place you go. Blah 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 blah. The local lord's got to take his cut and every other damn thing, especially in a feudal society. And I'm going to talk about them in another video upcoming. But my point is, obviously you need to do these things. Duties, tolls, excises, fees, whatever. but show moderation. You don't want to overburden them. And it's one thing to say, you know, the country needs the money for whatever reason, but you may as well just chop the damn legs off. You know what I'm saying? You see them coming, chop their legs off and then let them go. What's the point of adventuring if it takes you the entire haul out of the dungeon to get inside the city? See what I mean? Anyway, I hope this finds everybody well, and I hope you find this information useful. And again, go back to the Dungeon Master's Guide, page 90, for a lot of really good information on how to do this, okay? And I think at one point in that section, I don't think it's in that one particular section, that one paragraph, but I think it's in that section, it tells about a percentage basis. You got to be careful about that too, because if you raise the percentages on, for example, if the total amount of goods a merchant's bringing into the city is 100 gold, and you charge 5%, 10%, whatever, well, if he goes through 3 toll roads and they all charge 10%, it's pointless to go. You lose so much profit that you can't make a profit. You have to charge so much when you get there, nobody's going to buy your goods. You see what I'm saying? There's some economic laws involved. So just when you do these, it's important to keep the flavor of the medieval society there, but don't overdo it. You see what I'm saying? There's a balance there that you have to achieve, and it just takes practice. So anyway, I hope this information finds everybody well, and I hope it helps you out in your game. And whatever you do, remember, enjoy the game. That's what it's for. Everybody's got to have fun. You folks have a good day. God bless one and all.